Our today's class is about qualitative research method. Introduction. Just like the earlier research method, this particular research method, that is qualitative research, has been rapidly increasing since last decade. It has become an alternative method of social science research and is becoming the favorite of social work researchers. Objectives. There are three objectives for this lesson. First, it is to define and explain the concept of qualitative research method. Second, to understand various dimensions that are there for social work research method of qualitative research. Lastly, to learn the process of qualitative research method. What is the meaning of qualitative research method? Qualitative research method aims at getting an in-depth understanding of phenomena. What is the meaning of the word phenomena? Phenomena means a fact or a situation that is observed to exist, especially that one fact whose cause or explanation is in question. So, through social work qualitative research method, we would try to understand phenomena such as behavior of individuals, groups, organizations, or communities, and the reasons that govern them. In this particular research methodology, we would gain an understanding of the phenomena and its underlying reasons. It provides insights to the problem or helps to develop ideas or hypotheses for potential qualitative research. Focus of this particular research method is to explore, understand, and interpret the social reality. It consists a set of interpretive practices that makes the world visible. Interpretative practices such as taking field notes, interviews, conversations, photographs, recordings, and memos to self. At this level, qualitative research involves an interpretive, naturalistic method to the world. This means that qualitative researchers study in their natural setting, attempting to make a sense or to interpret phenomena in terms of meanings people bring to them. Thus, qualitative research is a study of social phenomena in terms of the meanings people, that is, research participants, bring to them and uses interpretive and naturalistic method. Qualitative research is concerned with non-statistical methods of inquiry and analysis of social phenomena. It draws on the inductive process in which themes and categories emerge through analysis of the data collected. Samples are usually small and are purposefully selected. Qualitative research uses detailed description from the research participants' perspective as a means of examining specific issues and problems under study. Despite the fact that it is rather difficult to define the term qualitative research precisely because of the diversity inherent in this term, yet it is necessary to understand this particular term in order to avoid becoming excessively focused on the variations that make simple definitions of qualitative method of research difficult to attain. It is perhaps helpful to highlight key elements which are commonly agreed to give qualitative method of social science research its distinctive character, and they include: first, naturalistic interpretative inductive method concerned with understanding the meanings which people attach to the phenomena. Second, used to address research questions that require explanation or understanding of social phenomena and their context. Third, used to explore issues that hold some complexity and to study processes that occur over time. Fourth, it explains how people attach meanings to events and learn to see events from multiple perspectives. Fifth, it is directed at providing an in-depth and interpreted understanding of the social world by research participants by learning about their social and material circumstances, their perspectives, and histories. Sixth, It uses small samples, purposefully selected on the basis of salient criteria. Seventh, data collection methods, which usually involve close contact between the researcher and the research participant, which are interactive and developmental and allow an emergent issue to be explored. Eighth, data analysis may produce detailed description and classification, develop patterns of association, or develop typologies and explanations. Ninth, it develops grounded theories that emphasizes tracing the problems and sequence of events in specific settings. Unlike quantitative research, there is no overarching framework for how qualitative research should be conducted. Rather, each type of qualitative research is guided by particular philosophical stance that are taken in relation to each phenomena by the researcher. The ultimate aim of qualitative method is to present multiple perspectives of a social phenomena in its contextual framework and provide an exhaustive and illustrative description that reflects the social world of research participants. Let's understand the conceptual foundation of qualitative method. Against the backdrop of positivism, which was explained in earlier class, conceptual framework of qualitative research can be linked to the writings of Immanuel Kant. According to him, perception relates to human interpretations of what our senses tell us, and our knowledge of social work is based on understanding what arises from our thinking about what happens to us. This belief led to a school of thought or paradigm known as interpervitism, which refers to method emphasizing that meaningful nature of people's participation in social and cultural life. Qualitative research method places a strong emphasis on the discovery of the meaning of incidents or the subject rather than the frequency of the incidents. The meaning of incidents, according to the author, is complex, multidimensional, and dynamic. For example, if we study child labor, we focus on the process by which a child becomes a laborer and sees explanation on why it happens and what explains its various facets. We are not looking into merely the number of times the problem has occurred and the number affected. Some of the premises on which qualitative research build their inquiry are: 1. All meaning is subjectively created and contextual. Second, the meaning is created through the perspective of one who experiences the social reality. 3. The meaning can only be understood through the processes used to enact and create social reality. 4. There is no universal truth of human experiences of social reality. Fifth, there are no enduring, context free truth statements, and all human behavior is time and context boundaries. Let us look into certain facts of qualitative research method. First, multiple realities. Firstly, qualitative researchers assume that there exist multiple realities in social situations which exist in concrete form. They are perceived by people differently and thus become different mental constructs for different people. In other words, realities are taken to be what people perceive them at a particular point of time. Since social situations keep on changing from time to time, the realities keep also changing from time to time. Furthermore, since the realities are constant specific, they cannot be tangible in a generalized form. Next, meanings and interpretations. Qualitative researcher emphasizes the study of meanings given to or interpretation about an object, events, and processes concerning social situations. To them, change in terms of social and behavioral phenomena cannot be identified with the concept of physical movement, but by external observation alone. An understanding of human behavior or social phenomena involves understanding of how Humans see what they are doing or participate in an activity. Generation of knowledge. Qualitative research method insist on generation of knowledge resulting from interaction between the researcher and the respondent. The respondents answer the question put by the inquirer in terms of their perception or the meanings they attach to their actions. Moreover, interactions take place between the researcher and his or her respondents to achieve maximum level of responsiveness and insights concerning the problem under investigation. Value systems. Qualitative research does not believe in value free inquiry. They assume the influence of value system in the identification of problem, selection of sample, use of tools for data collection, and the conditions in which the data are gathered. And lastly, the possible interaction that take place between researcher and the respondent. That is why qualitative researcher stress that researchers' bias cannot be ignored and it must be mentioned in the research reports. What are the characteristics of this particular research method? From a procedural point of view, attempts have been made by a number of authors to identify the prominent characteristics of qualitative research. First, proximity. Qualitative researchers gather information by closely observing the participants or the research participants and their social context. They make several visits to the research setting and collect data from the research participants by interviews or group discussions. Observation as a method of data collection is used where the researcher is a participant or non participant observer in a natural setting. The proximity of the researcher and the research participant helps qualitative researcher to understand the social realities in its own context. Another important characteristic of qualitative method pertains to the role of researcher. In qualitative research, the role of researcher is that of exploring and interpreting manifold dimensions of research participants and their setting. Third character, holistic method. Qualitative research intend to develop a deeper understanding of the given situation in a holistic fashion. In other words, all possible information concerning all the significant dimensions of the situation under the study is gathered with a view to portray the situation in their totality. For example, the role of Panchayat Raj in rural development cannot be studied in a partial fashion. It has to be studied in a holistic manner, taking into account the composite influences of all the socio-economic and cultural factors. Fourth characteristic, insightful inquiry. Qualitative researchers emphasize insightful inquiry, where humans are treated as sole means of data collection. Qualitative methods like participant observation, informal interviews and discussions, reading of relevant literature, and daily observation notes and diary writing are very often used for fieldwork. No prior theory, fifth characteristic. A researcher goes into the field for data collection without having any prior or pre science theory in mind or pre specific theory in mind. Qualitative researchers apprehend that a prior restricts the inquiry to those elements which may have been significant prior to developing an understanding of the situation. It blocks the process of holistic inquiry. The qualitative researchers develop theoretical propositions only after interacting with the field. However, it is pointed by the qualitative researchers that there is no insistence on developing theories afresh in each and every inquiry. Experience based theories in relation to specific situations may act as preliminary guidelines for many qualitative research studies. Sixth character, no pre specific design of study. Prior to fieldwork, qualitative researchers do not propose hypotheses and the conditions in which data are to be collected, analyzed, and interpreted. The researchers develop only a broad outline of the study in advance. As the inquiry progresses, the appropriate design emerges in the field. Hypotheses, mostly in the questions formed, are developed therein. Final decisions are taken about the sample, respondents, or situations during the fieldwork. Experiences gathered through personal insights, intuition, personal images, and apprehensions are recast into appropriate procedure for analysis, are adopted to study pattern of relationship on the basis of specific data collected. Seventh characteristic, naturalistic setting. Qualitative researchers believe in conducting studies in realistic settings. To them, reality cannot be studied in fragmented and controlled situations. They intend to unfold what happens in realistic situations rather than studying what happens in controlled situation. An inductive process is used in qualitative research method. That means qualitative researchers do not begin with a theory or hypothesis derived from the theory. Instead, they start with field reality from where they get the data. From the data, they identify concepts, and all the concepts are then interrelated, and from this emerges grounded theory. This appears to be more meaningful way of looking at life events of individuals. Supporters of this paradigm believe that the best way to understand social problems, which are usually complex and multi-layered, can be best studied in qualitative research method. Summary. Qualitative research method has developed as an alternative research method to social sciences. Next, this method is primarily an interpretive method towards understanding the social phenomena. The scope of qualitative research is expanding and is becoming more popular, particularly in some disciplines. Today, qualitative research method is widely used research paradigm in social science researches. With regard to generating knowledge in context specific situations, qualitative research makes unique contribution to the field of research in social science. It uses the researcher's impressionistic views as the main source of knowledge. The process of qualitative method can be summarized in the following sequence. First, in qualitative research, an inducive method is commonly used. That is, after identifying a research topic, research questions are formulated and specific aspects are focused. In qualitative research, an inductive method is commonly used. That is, after identifying a research topic, research questions are formulated and specific aspects are focused. Grounded data are collected, usually through an in depth interview or focus group discussions or any method which involve close contact between the researcher and the research participant. Data thus collected are analyzed and detailed explanation or description about the research topic is presented. It may develop grounded theories that emphasizes tracing the process and sequence of events in a specific setting.